Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're talking about how Cursor, vibe coding app, has just released a mobile version so that now you can vibe code on your phone, which is pretty cool. We've seen some of these other ones like, like Claude has Dispatch, which allows you to kind of do a few things from your phone. But it's really just a cool concept. I know Lovable also has a mobile app now. A lot of these companies are coming out with this. So we're going to talk all about how you can actually use that, some of the benefits. But before we do, Jaden, why don't you tell them about our school community?
Yeah. So, guys, for the first time ever, our school community, which for the last 2 years has been paid, it's usually somewhere between $20 and $50 a month, depending on if we have a discount or not. We have made it completely free to join the school community. There's over 400 members, and every week we make a new episode on how we're growing and scaling our businesses using AI tools. We give you the inside secret sauce that we don't post publicly. Now, in the future, this is probably going to be a completely paid community again. But if you join now for free, you can lock in as a free member of the community. When you're a free member, you get access to 5 different videos, pieces of bonus content. If you want to get access to the full library, it's still $20, whereas we have like 100 videos we've recorded. But you get access to 5 bonus videos. You get access to the whole community to chat. And you get access to our weekly live streams. Jamie and I are going live every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time on the school community, where we break down that week's video. After the live, it gets taken down and put up as a premium content. But if you want to get it, you can get basically all of our content for free. Just join the live at the right time in the school community. So there's a link in the description. If you've ever wanted to join our school community, now is the time, because it is free to go check it out if you haven't already. And if you want to get access to the full portfolio of videos, it's $19 a month. So you can also do that. Okay, I want to talk about what's going on with Cursor. This is really interesting. Personally, I've been doing a lot I love being able to vibe code and code from my phone. I felt like Lovable really did this so good because there was no difference between their website basically. And if I was, even before Lovable had an app, I was on you just logged into Lovable on your phone. And we recently had a baby. So I would very frequently, my wife, she wanted me to go to all of the baby appointments. But we have like 3 other kids. So anyways, I'd be waiting in the lobby with all of the kids. I was, going there for moral support, but she would be in the doctor's office by herself. And so I'm sitting there for like an hour sometimes with all of the kids. And I was vibe coding on Lovable for a lot of those appointments while the kids are just, running around playing, because I was, working before, and then it was time to go in the middle of the day. And so I would just, continue while we were there. So that would made it super, super easy. I know people that have like commutes and trains and travel and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to open up your laptop. It's really great. So Lovable made that super easy to be able to do. Now, Apple actually has a lot of really tricky rules around turning that into an app, because I was just on the web. And I've talked to some people about it, but I want to just ask you, Jamie, have you ever tried vibe coding from your phone? Have you done Lovable from your phone before?
I have actually, because kind of like what you said is when you are doing, vibe coding and things, you have a lot of waiting, honestly.
Yeah.
So you got to wait for it to finish the task. And so you can either multitask, but sometimes, like you said, you have other things pop up somewhere else to be, and you know what you want the end product to be, but you kind of have to like assist it along the way. So it's really helpful, actually, I think, to have a mobile version. So that's cool for Cursor. I will say with Claude, I wish I could have access to Cowork on my phone and then have it work on my computer. And I know they have Dispatch, but I haven't actually used it that much. Maybe it works pretty good, but I don't like that it's like a separate tab. So
Yes. So, okay, that was the other thing I was going to bring up, because I don't do Lovable anymore just because it's too expensive for me. Basically, I have a Claude Max subscription for $200 a month. Actually, I have 2, and I max those completely out. And so if I was doing that same amount of compute through Lovable, it would be like thousands of dollars. I spent $1,000 in a month on Lovable. So anyways, I had to switch to the Claude. Now Claude is like arguably more customizable. It's more complex if you don't know what you're doing as a developer. I think anyone could get started today on it, though. The only thing that's complex is you just have to make a Vercel account that hosts your website. You have to make a GitHub account that holds your code, and you have to make a Supabase account that has your database, so like any users or where all your images and files are stored. If you make Vercel, GitHub, and Supabase, and then you get the APIs from those accounts and give them to Claude, you're doing exactly what Lovable is, and there's nothing more complex, and you can just move on with your life, and Claude essentially is now Lovable. But for some people, making those 3 accounts and getting the APIs for those 3 accounts is hard. Probably would take you like 20 minutes, and Claude could probably tell you how to do it. But if you don't want to spend the 20 minutes and keep using Lovable because it's easier, that's fine. And
That's me.
yeah,
I'm too lazy. That's me.
exactly. If you're lazy and you have a ton of money like Jamie, but if you're poor like me and you want to. So anyways, yeah, that's the way to go is with Claude. Now, if you're doing Claude though, like Jamie mentioned, it is trickier for the app isn't quite as intuitive on how you do it. But I actually have been able to recently get it done where if you're doing a coding project, so the co-work, you're right. I don't think it's as good as I haven't figured it out on how to get it to like control my computer and do all this stuff. But Claude Code is getting a lot of the capabilities that Claude Cowork had in the past. And so because you have Claude Code on the mobile app, you just basically tell it like what folder on your computer, and on your computer, there's like a toggle where you like give it permission, and then you tell it what folder on your computer to work from, and it can work from it. And I think it can even like view your screen and do stuff. So it's not quite as like control your browser as Cowork is, but it can like all of my apps and all of my websites and all of my software that I like code on or have like coding done, I can do it all from my phone. And the most recent one that was really useful for me with this like workflow that I did, we bring this all up because Cursor is doing the app, and I think there's a ton of value in it. But anyways, what I'm doing with Claude that's kind of similar is I currently have like a Bible study app, and I got it to generate 1,100 study guides, chapter study guides for every chapter in the Bible. There's like 1,100 chapters. And my wife loves the app. She uses it when she's doing like her Bible study. And so but she's also good because she's like quality control. So she's like reading through and she's like, oh, I don't like how it says this or how like it phrased this. She's like really picky on how, curriculum for like basically anything is done. So she's really good at that. I say picky like it's a bad thing, but it's actually really good. I would have to pay someone a lot of money to review through all my study guides for me. So anyways, she'll like send me screenshots and it's like, hey, tell it to like reword this or that. And eventually my chat with my wife, my text messages just became a ginormous thread of screenshots of this app and like all the tweaks she wanted it to make. So I got Claude on her phone and I had it connected to my computer. Anytime she has something that she wants tweaked, she could take a screenshot and her message and she just sends it straight to the Claude thread. And then Claude goes and actually updates the text in the database because it has the API to the database, and it makes it look right on the app how she wants. So anyways, now our chat thread is no longer filled with all of the screenshots of that. And our app is constantly improving and getting better. And she gets all the updates she wants. So I've been impressed. There's ways to do it, but it does take a second to configure Claude.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard the news yet, but Cursor was actually just acquired by SpaceX for $60 billion. So people didn't know exactly what was going to happen with that, if their development was going to slow down or pick up, but it looks like they're continuing to release new features and improve it despite the acquisition. So that's, I think, pretty exciting news for Cursor. They're not just getting acquired and then deceased. They're actually, continuing to grow and receive funding and stuff. So it'll be interesting. I haven't personally used Cursor. Maybe that makes me a noob for staying with Lovable. But Jaden, have you actually used Cursor?
No, to be honest, I don't use Cursor. I think it's probably a good product. It's basically like, it's more like Claude Code than Lovable, right? So it's just like something that you can work with other tools inside of it. I think the value of Cursor is it's like Claude Code, but you can switch whatever. You can use Codex, you can use Gemini, you can use Claude inside of it and switch which one you use. And I think they also have their own model as well that saves you a lot of like tokens and credit. So I think Cursor has like a really good value proposition in being model agnostic and then having their own model that's really cheap, get stuff done. So I see a lot of value. I think they really grew fast in the early days and they made a lot of corporate contracts, enterprise deals. And that's kind of how they were able to just grow so fast and why they're, purchased for $1 billion. I actually saw an interesting thing where like all the founders and so many of the early members of Cursor are billionaires now. And they're like 20, they started when they were like 19 years old. So they're like these like 20-year-old, 20-something-year-old guys, and they're all billionaires now from this Cursor deal. So yeah, that is an incredible thing. But there are a lot of other competitors, Claude and OpenAI, and Google has one called, I was talking to a member of the technical staff over at Google, Logan Kilpatrick, on my AI Applied podcast the other day, and he was talking about Google AI Studio. They've just released an iOS app as well where we're able to vibe code things. It is kind of tricky to vibe code things. I think anything.com is like a vibe coding website, and they actually got kicked off of the Apple App Store. Then they got brought back on. Apple has like a weird thing with like they don't want apps that are generating code because they're worried like of hacking and security and stuff.
Okay.
So anyways, there's a lot of like fine lines you got to walk with these apps, which is funny because you could just go to Safari or Brave or Chrome or whatever on your iPhone and go to the website for most of these services and use them there. But somehow if it's an app, it's like not allowed. So anyways, Google AI Studio has an app. A lot of these guys have an app. I'm pumped that Cursor has one. I think this is the right move for them, especially being the model agnostic platform. It'll be cool to see what people build with this.
Yeah, cool. Well, hey, if you got any value out of this episode, we would really appreciate a rating or review wherever you're listening. We're trying to get to 150 reviews, so which I think we're pretty close. So if you could help us out, that would be awesome. Also, check out our school community, the free tier, if you want to see what it's all about. But we'd love to have you be a member and be a part of our community. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.